Well, here we are, episode 172? 173? I don't know. It's one of those. I'll figure it out afterwards. But on this episode, Jack is back. Maybe. He's a 50-50. I'm just saying this just in case, because his feelings will get hurt if he comes on and I didn't introduce him. So, I don't want to hear him. I'm not in the mood tonight. So, anyway, yeah, tonight I'm going to finish what I've been trying to finish for 2 weeks. Underrated lead singers. I think we're going to talk about some quirky album covers and just whatever Jack has to say. I'm sure he's got a lot to say. He always does. So anyway, sit back, relax, enjoy the podcast.
When I first
5,
met you, baby,
4, 3,
I
2,
thought you were like
1,
me.
0. All engine running. Liftoff. We
But
have a
you done
liftoff.
found another man.
The KLFB studio presents Milk Crates and Turntables, a music discussion podcast hosted by Scott McLean. Now, let's talk music. Enjoy the show.
What's up, everybody? I'm jacked up tonight. Creatine! Real cream! Creatine! Yeah! Yeah, no techno tonight, baby! Yeah! Welcome to the podcast. You know the name, I'm not going to say it. What they'll do. One of these days, these boots are gonna stomp all over you. Yeah. This is the shit right here. This is how I start the show now. It used to be soft. Now I don't give a shit. I don't care. And leather! All right, everyone. Welcome to the podcast. You know the name. I'm not going to say it. Streaming live right now over everything. Yeah. Welcome back, my friends, to the show that never ends. What else? I'm missing something. I don't know. I don't care. So last week during the show, I got cut off. Facebook cut me off. Like, boom. Music. They didn't like it. Or something. I don't know. I don't care, though. I don't care. I'm still on YouTube. So if I get cut off, go to the Milk Crates and Turntables channel on YouTube. You can watch it over there live. In the meantime, Jack's back! Yeah! What's up, buddy?
I like that tune, man.
Yeah. Idols.
I like
The
Idols.
name of the song is Never Fight a Man with a Perm.
So just a little fun fact for you.
Yeah.
I got a buddy of mine that plays in a band, literally lives down the street from me. He plays in a band called The Interrupters. They opened for the Idols a bunch of time.
I'm sorry, it's just Idols. Okay. Okay.
So you're already fucking starting. Good night, everybody. Here, Scott.
I'm sorry. It's just Idols. Okay.
Oh my God! You know, aren't there enough people fighting over a bunch of bullshit that we have to do the same?
No. But it's impossible for us to have a peaceful show. We've just known each other too long. Yeah.
So what's the weather like down there?
Let me give you a weather report right now. As a matter of fact, it is a beautiful 72 degrees.
What a
With a low
coincidence!
tonight
We
of
got
68.
we got 7.2 inches of snow today.
Look What a coincidence. How does that happen? Well, because you live in New Hampshire, that's why.
That's true.
You reap
I can
what
see
you
the
sow.
Canadian border.
Yeah, I can see Russia from my backyard. So what's been
Russia.
going on, man?
Not a lot of good rock bands out of Russia.
No. Can you name any?
There was a
would
Russian
they let them
band.
out? That's the whole thing. Would they even let them out?
There was a Russian band called Autograph.
Oh yeah, Autograph.
There
They
was
were
a
Russian?
there was a band that was not from Russia, also called Autograph.
All right, that's probably the ones I heard. Yeah, that was let me see. Autograph American Style had a hit in about 1984, I want to say. It was a big
Turn up the
Yeah.
radio.
That was like I came down here to Fort Lauderdale for spring break. It was a last minute thing. Me and my roommate at college, and we took a fucking Greyhound bus from somewhere in Massachusetts to Fort Lauderdale. It was $99 round trip.
That's a
Yeah.
long trip.
That was crazy. It sucked, but it was some crazy stories on that fucking bus ride.
Give me
And,
the
I flew
best
home.
story from that bus ride.
All right, you want the best story? I right off the top of my
As,
head. I
as
can
long
tell you.
as it's clean. This is a family show.
No. Yeah. So we're on the bus, and so my roommate was a younger kid. He was from like I don't know, Tewksbury or something. Like he was from the burbs in Massachusetts. Good kid though, and so
Can
we
you say
decided
the name
to
of
go,
that town one more time?
like I don't know, Tewksbury or something. Did I say that?
You could be right. I always said Tewksbury.
TEWKS, right? Tewks. I don't know.
Who was that?
It was irrelevant to me.
Who was the character on the Fruit Loops box?
Toucan Sam.
Okay. Toucan Sam.
Yeah.
Tewksbury. All right.
No,
fine. It's fine.
You're reaching. Anyway, so we get off the bus in DC, right? That's one of the stops. Now, along the way, I found out that every Greyhound bus station from Boston to Florida has a Burger King in it. They all back then, every one of them, like Burger King had the contract, right? So at the end of that trip, I fucking hated. I didn't eat Burger King for a year, right? So we get off the bus and it's in the evening, and I think it's like probably like a Thursday night or something. And so we met these guys that were from Michigan on the bus. So, all right, they're cool. They're going to spring break. We're going to spring break. Everything's cool. There's like 4 of them. There's 2 of us. So we get off the bus, and I'm like, of course, I have the brilliant idea. Let's go get something. Let's go get some booze, right? Let's make this shit happen, right? So we asked somebody on the bus station. Now, you know who's at bus stations, right? Nothing good happens. No one's good at a bus station, right? So we're in the middle of DC. It's on a Thursday evening, and I say, "Where's a liquor store? Where can we buy booze?" And this black dude says, "Well, all right, you're gonna go up there and take a right at this street and go down, and it's on the left." All right, so we do that.
Well, why does he have to be a black dude? Why
Because
couldn't
it
you
wasn't
just
a
say?
black dude. No, it wasn't.
Yeah,
a
but
black
why
dude.
can't you just say that this dude came up?
Well, because I'm in DC. It's probably anyway. So we get up there and we get into we walk into the liquor store, and we notice that it's full of black dudes. We're the only white guys in there. Okay. And all right, we get our shit. And it's kind of a weird vibe. Now, you got guys from shit poke Michigan. You got my buddy roommate from Tewksbury, Massachusetts. And there's me, where we grew up and how we grew up, right? So I'm like, all right, this is going to be interesting. So we get like a case of beer, and we get, I don't know, a fucking bottle of something, probably Jack or whatever stupid shit we were buying back then. And the guy just kind of behind the counter just gives it to us. And we pay, and we walk out. And we take a left, and we stock, and we didn't get 10 yards. And I hear from behind, "You motherfuckers are in the wrong neighborhood." And so I'm like, these dudes are like, "What did he say?" I'm like, "Just keep walking. Keep walking." He says, "I think I said you motherfuckers are in the wrong neighborhood." I'm like, don't run, because if we run, then they're going to fucking chase us, and nothing good's going to come of that. So I said, just keep fucking walking. Don't. And like, as soon as I said that, 3 fucking bottles smash like around us. They're throwing bottles at us. And I look at the dudes, I go, it's fucking time to run. And they start fucking running. And you hear them all bust out laughing. Like they were laughing their asses off. Like, motherfucker, right? They played us, right? They wanted to see us run, and we ran, right? And so we get back to the bus. I'm like, that was fucking crazy. That was crazy, right? And these dudes are all jacked up. We go to get on the bus, and the bus driver looks and goes, oh, you ain't bringing that on the bus. Like, we get the case of beer, right? And he goes, no. That's not coming on this bus. No. We're like, well, we just bought it. He goes, I don't care. This bus is leaving in like 5 minutes, with or without you, but it's definitely even without the beer. Oh, fuck. All right. Well, I'm like, what do we do with it? Like, someone's like, what are we doing? What are you doing? I said, all right, I got an idea. And I take the case of beer and I walk over to the original black guy that gave us the directions. And I go, thanks for the fucking information. And I gave him a case of beer. It was Christmas time. It was Christmas time for this guy. Damn. He's like, damn. Thanks. I said, we got to go. All right, we got to go. So
That's awesome.
that's just one story. Then there's the lady with no teeth that was.
Oh, whoa. I want to hear
whole-
that story.
That she was a freak, man. Like, she's this older, like skinny, just like Greyhound bus station rap. And she was on the bus, right? And this is like 84, and she's just like this little thing. But it had started like something. She was melty. She was very melty, right? And she just starts firing off at one of these dudes from Michigan. And they get into this fucking argument. And it's hilarious, right? It's hilarious. And she was not backing down. Like, it just was going. And we're just enjoying this show. And she's sitting right in front of me. And like, it just eventually dies down. The bus gets dark. It's the same night. It was the same after. And I, just kind of chilling, and I'm sitting in the aisle seat, and everything's quiet. You hear the hum of the bus, and dude's sleeping. My roommate's sleeping next to me, these guys. And all of a sudden, like, I wasn't sleeping. I was just looking, all of a sudden I see these fingers come over the top of the chair in front of me. Right? It was like
It's
the fucking
alive.
golem. It was like the golem, right? And I see, like, dude, I'm not making this up. I wouldn't I see the head rising above, like, fucking slow motion. Like, she's creeping up the fucking chair, and she looks
My
and says,
precious.
no. She said, I wish that's what she said. She says to me, have you ever had a gum job? And she smiles, and she's got no teeth. I'm like, ah! Everybody. And she just smiles and then sleeks back down the seat. Like,
My God.
and I was like, dude. And I was like, what? I'm like, you won't believe it if I told you. I'm just sorry. I'm sorry.
I'm changing my seat.
Dude, it was the weirdest fucking thing. The creep up the seat. Like, this was total. I don't know. She was a character. I'll tell you that. But
So you take one of those long bus rides. You're going to meet some interesting characters.
Oh, certainly are. Yes.
You're going to meet some interesting characters.
Yes.
I can only imagine. I mean, how long was that bus ride? And that's back in
Dude,
the
it was
day.
fucking 2 days. It was 2 days.
You had to rely on, batteries and cassettes. And,
Yeah.
I mean, did you even have a Walkman?
No,
I mean,
no,
what
no.
were you doing to entertain yourself
Nothing.
aside from gum jobs?
Yeah, nothing. It was talking and sleep, and that was it. There was no radio. You couldn't play anything, like no Walkman. It's 84, right? So I'm in college. I didn't have a Walkman. I didn't really need it. And so it was just, and then it was the illusion. The big illusion happened on day 2. The big sign that says, welcome to Florida. And you're like, yeah. Right?
We're here.
We're here. Little did we know that that's another 4.5 hours at least to get to Fort Lauderdale. Then there's this. There was no means of communication other than landlines back then, right? And so Smooth, our friend Jimmy Boudreau, he was down here already. And now, mind you, me and my roommate had nowhere to stay. We didn't have a hotel, right? We just got on the bus to go, right? And so I said, all right, he's going to meet us at the bus station in Fort Lauderdale, but there's 2 bus stations. And I'm like, oh, this is a 50-50 at best. So what if we get there and he's not there? Like, what do we do from there? Fortunately, we get off the bus and he's standing there. It was the right bus station. And we proceeded to crash in his room. I slept in some room with these bunch of guys from Oklahoma. I was transient guy. And it was a great spring break back when spring break was like rocking and rolling and at its high point down here in Fort Lauderdale. It was crazy. I got off the bus. We get to the hotel that Smooth is staying at. I don't even get out of the park. Like, I don't even get to there's a car comes by and the trunk is open and there's a dude sitting in the trunk, like legs hanging out. And I'm like, hey, what's up, dude? He goes, you want to go for a ride? Yeah. Okay. I don't know where I am. I don't even know what hotel it is. Jump in the back of the trunk. Dude hands me a bottle. Start drinking. And we just did the whole up and down A1A. You know, it was insane. Unfortunately, they took me back to where they picked me up. That was very nice of them. It was very white of them to do that, I think. So there's a lot of stories.
You're racially charged tonight.
Yeah, no, you started it. So yeah, there was a lot of stories to go in that week. I can tell you that. But so good times. Longest bus trip you ever took? What was it?
It's not that long. When we went down to Live Aid, we took a bus from Boston to Philly. It was nothing.
I was gonna say, yeah, it's probably you either went to New York or Philly or something like that. Yeah.
The longest trip that I ever took like that, I took a train from St. Louis to Los Angeles. That was 3 full days.
That's a long train ride. Yeah, but
that was crazy.
There's no like toothless people that look like Gollum that want to give you a gum job on a bus.
No, I was in the first class section of
fuck you. That's
what do you mean fuck you?
Fuck you.
What are you talking about?
I could have just said I was on the train, but no, you have to say I was in the first class. I was in the first.
Well, I'm just saying it wasn't. I'm just saying it wasn't that bad. It wasn't that bad.
Yeah, because you were in the first class section. We're sitting on the wooden chairs in the back, like Jethro Bodine. They got ropes for seatbelts.
Yeah.
So what's been going on, Jack? What's been going on?
You know what I did today?
What'd you do?
The first time that I've done this since 1982.
Oh, comment.
I bought 4 tickets to go see Devo.
Wow.
Coming to Boston. 50th anniversary tour of Devo.
Yeah.
It's still around.
Yeah. Original lineup?
Whoever's left. I know that at least one of them is passed.
Well, it's not Mark Mothersbaugh because then it wouldn't really be
Mark
Devo.
is still there.
Yeah. And is his brother
Do you
still
remember
there?
my favorite Devo story is when they played, I think they played Max's Kansas City in New York City back in 1979 or so, maybe 78, 79, something like that. When they were in their van, they were actually almost like a Greyhound bus barnstorming across the United States. And they played Max's Kansas City, and a head popped in the van and said, "Are we not men? We are Devo." And it was John Lennon.
Yeah.
I love that story.
Yeah. I saw a clip today of an old interview with George Harrison. It's fascinating. And he was talking about, you know what? I'm going to see if I can play this. It's a short clip. Let me see. It was, I'd never heard him kind of talk like this. Let me see.
Is this where he kind of is bitching about John Lennon?
Yeah, let me see.
John Lennon said he was really hurt by you, that you'd never mentioned in your autobiography any of the influence that he had on you.
He was annoyed because I didn't say that he had written one line of the song Taxman.
Did you tell him that?
Well, I didn't, because he was already dead after that. But the point to that was that I also didn't say how I wrote 2 lines to Come Together or 3 lines to Eleanor Rigby. You know, I wasn't getting into any of that. I think in the balance, I would have had more things to be niggled with him about than he would have with me.
But he said that you idolized him as a young boy, that you thought...
Well, that's what he thought.
And you didn't?
Well, I liked him very much. He was a groove. He was a good lad. But at the same time, he misread me. He didn't realize who I was. And this was one of the main faults of John and Paul.
John Lennon said he...
Boom. John and Paul. I don't know what year that was. He was relatively young, and it was after Lennon died. So...
Well, you know what I mean? I think we've talked about this before, but that whole Peter Jackson documentary, Get Back with the whole Let It Be, sessions, you could, at least I could clearly see that it wasn't Yoko that broke up the Beatles. I think they were done. And more so than anybody, George Harrison was so done because he was, third person in line, right? Lennon and McCartney. You were never going to be able to outdo them, outshine them, or whatever. In his brilliance, and he was a great songwriter, was, kind of put on the back burner and, put behind the curtain. And he got his 1 song or 2 songs, per album. And, and that was the end of it. And he was sick of it. Didn't want to tour. He didn't even want to play on the roof. When they did that famous thing on the roof, he did not want to do that at all. He was like, why would we do that?
Right. So there's kind of a comparison that I have here. Some years back, research showed that the infamous Judas didn't really betray Christ, right? There was this whole thing that the whole thing was kind of warped over time, that Judas didn't really do what he was accused of, which was, kind of rat out Jesus. He was actually trying to warn him. But the Judas symbol, the logo, the slang or whatever, the moniker will never be changed, right? It's just embedded in history that you're a traitor. You're a Judas, right? I think that Yoko kind of might be part of the Judas complex. So, okay, she has the bad rap. She was a pain in the ass. John let it happen. But now you're starting to hear, I know you've heard this. I don't even know if we've ever talked about it, but now you hear all the mumblings that it really wasn't that much Yoko as much as it was John did not want to or could not compete with Paul. The infamous, he writes 10 songs, now I have to write 10 songs. And they used to fight. It wasn't the albums. It was about the singles. Who gets side A, right? So I think the biggest diss on John was, Strawberry Fields gets side A. Penny Lane gets the B side, right? One of those deals. McCartney would always seem to get the A side of the single. And I think John couldn't keep up with that. And that was a big part of the starting to back off and I don't want to fucking do this anymore. Because John was an egomaniac. He's definitely a narcissist.
I think in order to be in any band, in order to be in any type of performance art, you do have to have a healthy ego. But John definitely had a big ego, and he was always recognized as the leader of the Beatles. And there's no question in those later days, Paul McCartney was the creative force, and he was the one that. Oh yeah, absolutely.
I never looked at it that way. I never looked at him.
He was undoubtedly, absolutely the motivating leader of the Beatles in the early days. But as time went by, Paul kind of came into his own. Not that he wasn't before, but he really. I mean, again, if you watch that Get Back, Let It Be documentary, he's just in the zone. He's rattling stuff off, and
Well, I think
John is distracted. With. I mean, they always talk about, the other Beatles always talk about that it was Paul toward the end. We got to get back in the studio. Time to go to work. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. There was a big shift.
Yeah. And I think that John got lazy and he couldn't keep up with Paul. And it shows in their solo work. Paul was a machine when and I've said this 100 times on this podcast and in other conversations, that Paul, you can always tell when somebody leaves a band and they put out like this great music for a couple years. That was, I believe those are catalog songs that they just had written that just didn't make it in with the band, or were being written in the middle of the breakup of the band, and it's kind of residual from being in the band. They're in that creative kind of mold. And I think Morrissey is a good example of that. When he left the Smiths, he was on fire like for a couple of albums, and I think he had that leftover type of residual mentality and drive. And I think once you go solo and it settles, the dust settles, and I could be totally wrong here, when the dust settles, you change. Everything kind of shifts. There's no pressure anymore. There's no internal pressure from other members in the band or to lead the band or the competition that those two had. Do you agree?
Yeah.
No? Yeah?
Yeah. Look, I probably like you, when I was a kid, I was like, oh my God, the Beatles, it's so shitty that they broke up. Like, oh my God, it would be amazing for them to get back together. It was perfect the way that it happened, quite honestly. They did what they did, and they had to go their separate ways and to do their things. I mean, obviously nobody wanted to see what happened to John, but it, they started and ended. It's almost like, the Police, they took it to a certain point and that was the end of it.
It's interesting that you mentioned them, because lately I've been seeing and watching a lot of Stuart Copeland little reels on say Facebook. And they're always interesting because he's an interesting cat, and he always has a lot to say. That was part of his problem with Sting, is he's mouthy. He's very mouthy, right?
He was the American in the group.
Exactly. And he started the group, and his father managed the group, and his brother did the finances for the group, right? So
his brother managed the group.
The brother managed the group. Yeah, the father was his company. Didn't he back them or something like that?
He probably had something to do with it in the early days.
Because he got mentioned by Sting during some award ceremonies, the father and the brother. But so you hear Stuart Copeland, who back in the day, when the Police broke up, they hated each other. Like, he would, any chance he got, he was digging Sting, like throwing jabs at him, because Sting became like a bigger entity than he was with the Police in his solo work. I don't think there's any denying that. He really went to the next level in his stuff. And so recently I watched these little interviews with him, and he's very complimentary. And he got it. Like, I think one of the interviews he said, I finally got it, that the guy's just a genius. He's an asshole, but he's a genius. Like, and he would laugh about it. And so I think they had some sort of reconciliation, and they get older, and they're like, he was my lead singer, right? And they would fight during shows, and, Sting is that guy. He's that James Brown guy. If there's something off, he hears it, right? Like, he hears that offbeat, like that drum beat was wrong, right?
But part of it is exactly what we were talking about with the Beatles. Remember, and you just said it a couple of seconds ago. In the early days of the Police, it was Stuart Copeland's band. But we all know from the first lines of Roxanne, it was not Stuart Copeland's band, and it was never going to be Stuart Copeland's band.
No.
So that power struggle, that shift, kind kind of happens and it can, the egos get in the way. I'll tell you one band where that hadn't happened, and maybe a lot of people don't know this, but the principal songwriter and the creative drive behind Pearl Jam was not Eddie Vedder back
No.
in the early days. It wasn't.
It was Stone Gossard, right?
It was Stone Gossard. He
Yeah.
was the principal songwriter.
Yeah.
He was the guy. And I think it took after maybe the second album that, Stone Gossard had to kind of take a very comfortable back seat.
Yeah. Well, I think it's the same for The Who. The Who was Pete Townshend's band, right? And most of the time it was, but I grew up, like when I started listening to them, when I really caught on to them, I always thought it was Roger Daltrey's band, right? Because the lead singer usually takes all the attention, and usually they're the ones that, blah, blah, blah. I didn't find out until later that it wasn't Roger Daltrey's band. It was always Pete Townshend's band, right?
Yeah, it was never Roger Daltrey's
So
band. Never.
Pete Townsend is actually that covers something that I talked about last week, that band members that are more popular than the lead singer. And I think that's a good example. Pete Townsend, I think, was more popular than Roger Daltrey.
Sure.
Right? We could say arguably. Maybe some would say, well, no, because he's the face of it, Daltrey, and the long blonde hair and the curly hair, and, Tommy, he was in the movie. But I think that if you asked the average Who fan, they would say Pete Townsend. He still sang some of the songs. He wrote mostly everything, right? Did they do it? Were they like Richards and Jagger, or was it Pete Townsend and then
a lot of
did
it
they
was
split?
No, and that's why it was one of the primary reasons why they went on tour in 1989, because Entwistle was pretty much out of money.
Yeah,
because he didn't have any of the publishing.
Yeah. Again, he was out of money.
Again, he was out of money.
Yeah.
The boy liked cocaine.
Yeah. And every time, and I heard that story, I think Pete Townsend said, every time John would run out of money, he'd say, we got to go on tour again. I need money. And so they would do it. Like that was their brotherhood. We would do it. We'd go on tour, even if we didn't really want to. But when you get there, when that guy's your bass player, absolute genius, right? Probably one of the most underrated musicians. I don't know, John Entwistle.
I don't know that he was underrated. I think he's incredibly
when you're in the Who,
respected
he's
as a bass
underrated.
player.
When you're in the Who, he's that George Harrison maybe of the Who.
I always loved the fact that like Pete
Keith
Townsend
Moon was a bigger character than John Entwistle.
Yeah, I always love that, I think it was Pete Townsend that said something along the lines, and I'm paraphrasing a little bit. He was like, there was always heavy competition between me and Keith. And then Roger would get into it, but Roger would just lose. He was like, and John wasn't even in the game.
Yeah.
Because he'd be, standing over there. And by the way, the Who is a prime example. Like you and I have had multiple conversations about an artist or a band having a creative arc. And the Who is regarded as like a legendary band, right?
Yeah.
Beatles, Stones, the Who is right up there.
Yeah.
But what was the last great Who album?
Probably Who Are You? Back in, what was that, 80?
Would you call it, so that was 78, 77, okay. 78. Right. Would you call that a great album?
I love the Trick of the Light is still one of my favorite Who songs.
There's some great stuff. I mean, to me,
love that album. Yeah.
To me, I think Who Are You is probably an underrated album.
Yeah.
But I think it was a definitely, at least for me, a step down from the glory days of Tommy and Who's Next. I actually think that
those were massive albums. Those were rock operas. Those were big production albums. They were, this was a straight rock album. Like Who by Numbers. What did you think of that album? No, right? So it's part of the
okay.
It's part of the arc that you're saying, right?
So it's okay, but it's
lesser than Who Are You or more than Who Are You?
I think Who Are You is better.
Yeah.
I think it's actually got some better songs on it.
Right. Right.
But I think the last great Who album was Quadrophenia in '73.
Really? Wow. I mean, it's a great album. I love Quadrophenia.
Yeah.
Out of My Brain on the 515 is great. That was my favorite song. Who song for a long time. For a long time. The movie was great. Sting.
With Sting. Yeah.
Bellboy!
I got to get running down.
Yeah, yeah.
Keep a lip button down.
Exactly.
Carry the bloody baggage out.
So then, okay, so say they had 3 great albums. What makes them iconic then? Is it their persona, their live shows, the albums, the music was good. It's above average. It was better than a lot of the other shit that was out there.
I just think some of that early stuff was so big and so iconic that it carries them. And they were, you know, a tremendous force from a live standpoint. Even the last couple of times I saw them, I have to tell you. So, you know, look, we get the Super Bowl coming up on Sunday.
Yeah.
In the Who, you know, people kind of trashed their performance. I think
I don't remember them playing. What Super Bowl?
I think they kind of got screwed. I don't think they were nearly as bad as people make them out to be.
Well, so that's a whole nother conversation about the crowd that watches a Super Bowl halftime show, right? There's a lot of people that hated the one, what was it, I don't know, 2 years ago when you had Jay-Z and you had 50 Cent, you had...
Oh, see, I thought that was really good.
Right, but so this is the thing. Every halftime show gets panned, like, no matter who it is. Like, there's people that dog the U2 one, which is considered maybe one of the best ones ever. There's people that criticize the Prince halftime show. Like, it just... But so I don't take those criticisms for anything. I don't pay any attention to those. Because
are you excited? Are you excited at all to watch the Kendrick Lamar halftime show?
Not really. I very rarely watch halftime. I think maybe the last halftime show I did watch was I don't know, Prince in Miami. Like
Long ago?
I don't really pay attention to halftime shows. Like,
I mean, you just said you watched the one with Jay-Z. Dude,
I watched, like,
full of shit.
It's on in the background, right? And I'm it's on in my on the TV over here, but we're in the like I'm in this part of the room, the kitchen. It's a kitchen, living room, whole big thing. I'm not sitting in front of it watching it. I'm not like, looking at it and kind of taking it in. I don't really do that with halftime shows. I just want to see the game. I really just want to see the game. I hear it. I might watch bits and pieces of it. But for the most part, I don't pay much attention to them because it's no matter what it's going to be, it's going to get slammed.
So you're a big football fan. I just saw Bill Burr. I think it was an older clip where he was complaining. He was like, "I fucking hate Super Bowl parties." Oh. He was like, I hate them. He was like, you're in a room full of people. Everybody talks through the game.
Yeah.
And through the commercials, everybody's like, "Oh, shh,
yeah,
shut up."
Exactly.
Oh, that was funny.
And most people don't that are watching aren't football fans. They don't get what's going on. Like, they'll scream and they'll talk and like. So I know so the Patriots' first Super Bowl with Brady when they won, I had a party at my house and it was a big party and it was all these guys from work, girls from work, and then I had one again, and then I had one. The last party I had was when they lost to the Giants. I believe it was probably the second time they lost to the Giants. I was still living in Hollywood, and literally when the game was over, there was probably 20 people there, 25. I said, "Everybody out." And they were like, they all looked, and I go, "Everybody out. Done. Party's over." Like, I'm not fucking hanging around and listening to people fucking have a good time when I am suffering over here and they're all fucking eating my food. I think I even said, "Don't even stop to get food. Just fucking party's over." That became legendary at work. Like, that was a story like on Monday or Tuesday when people showed up. Like, he literally stopped everything and said, everybody out. And I never had another fucking Super Bowl party when the Patriots played again. I watched it alone. That was it. I watched them alone. Now, I got some people coming over Sunday. I got a couple couples, and, my son has a friend coming over. There will be about 8 or 9 of us. And that's fine. That's cool. But for the most part,
do you even care? I mean, do you think it's going to be much of a game?
Yeah, I think it's going to be a good game. So the thing I'm thinking on this, there's a couple things, is all eyes are on the refs. Kansas City just has that reputation of getting the favored calls, and it happened in the AFC Championship game. And it's just going to be even more scrutinized. So I'm interested in seeing how that plays out. Number 2, they beat the Eagles a few years ago in the Super Bowl, and the Eagles are back now. The Patriots beat the Eagles in the first time they played in the Super Bowl. The second time the Eagles came out, they beat the Patriots. So I'm interested to see if Philadelphia will rise to that occasion again. And I really do want to see Philadelphia win the Super Bowl. I'm not a big fan, but I have a lot of friends from Philly, from South Philly. And I have like 2 friends from Kansas City. And I don't really want to see, I'm a Brady fan, right? So as a New England fan, you don't want to see Patrick Mahomes win again. He's not considered anything great. Like, he's not getting into Tom Brady territory yet. He's in.
Yeah, but they're already talking about it.
Yeah, and that's what they do. They talk about it so they can pretty much they have something to talk about. But Gronk said it perfect. In a recent interview, he said, all right, listen, everybody's talking about Patrick Mahomes and GOAT. He's not in GOAT conversation yet. Tom Brady is the GOAT. Tom Brady won 3 out of 4 Super Bowls, took 12 or 13 years off, and then did it again. Won 3 out of 4. That's the GOAT. When he does it 13 years later, 12 years later, it does 3 out of 4 again. That's the GOAT. But everybody's going to want to put Mahomes won 3 in a row. That's great. Win 3 in a row. Good for you. That's great. But you're not Tom Brady, buddy. Now, I'm not taking anything away from Patrick Mahomes. I am not.
He's an incredible athlete.
Good dude. Stays out of trouble. Keeps his mouth shut. Good dude. Doesn't get all he's a good kid from a good family, and good for him. I enjoy watching him play. But that's my Super Bowl talk. As far as the show, again, I don't care about the halftime show. Yeah. So you told me recently that you're going to since you took offense to me calling you a EDM poser, you took offense to that. And so what's the news you got for us, Jack? It's not music, by the way.
It's not really news. It's just, like, you accused me of not having an appreciation for electronic dance music. And, you challenged me on it, and I mentioned the band Dirty Vegas, and you're like, oh my God, Dirty Vegas. Well, could you go back any fucking further? Then, Dirty Vegas, they haven't been around in, 20 years. Don't tell me you're an electronic dance fan. So why don't you say Mozart?
And I don't think Dirty Vegas was EDM. I think they were more like industrial type sound music.
Yeah, I think that's
like that 9 Inch Nails type sound.
In any event, since that conversation, and because I had actually looked up Dirty Vegas on Spotify, I got trapped into the algorithm.
Yes,
and I've been listening to a ton of electronic dance music. Every time I go to the gym, it's
good
EDM, where I'm kind of like bouncing around. I love it.
Right?
So much so, and I don't know if you're a fan or if you even know this band or not, but I actually grabbed tickets for Deb and I to go see Rufus Du Sol at the Xfinity Center in Mansfield, which is, I'm thrilled for them in some regard. But I don't know how many people the Xfinity Center holds, but it's pretty much sold out.
EDM shows are they're fun to be at. The light shows, the whole thing. They big productions. But I played this song last week, right? The group is called Boy Deluxe. They're from LA.
This beat's sick.
Listen.
It's my shit. I don't care if they stare, I'm in it. Move my hips, bite my lip. Close my eyes, won't deny, I love it.
called Sanctuary. Yeah, there's some good EDM right here.
Check the booth. Get my hit. Find some strangers that I wanna kick it with.
Yeah, this it's a duo from LA.
Taste my
And she's a pretty little thing, this one.
out of my skin, I submit. Take me to the
Dance floor, baby.
baby, where all the people crazy and the VIPs are getting us all a little
Yeah, you like this?
I do like that.
Yeah.
crazy and the VIPs are
I'm telling you, people, they sleep on this shit. I love this shit, man. Plus,
I love it as well.
I get my synth fix.
By the way, the Xfinity Center, which used to be the Great Woods Center for the Performing Arts,
So it's
I think originally it started. It was a 12,000 seat venue,
right.
and now it expanded. It's 19,900, so 20,000 people.
Wow, that's not bad.
But you want to hear something absolutely disgusting?
Is that outdoors?
First-
Is it an amphitheater?
Yeah. I mean, it's got a roof over.
It's got the roof over the seats and all that, but it's
Well,
got
like the lawn is.
Okay,
is,
yeah,
you know,
yeah.
there's no cover over it or anything like that.
yeah.
But here's one of the things that's disgusting, and it's just we've talked about this, and it's kind of like sign of the times or whatever. So I bought 2 tickets. They're not even sitting together. I'm going to have to ask people to move so Deb and I can.
I did that with Rob Zombie.
Yeah,
I had the same thing.
but I actually thought that I got a bargain because they were only $185 a piece.
Yeah. Oh, fucking hell.
But here's the thing: if you think that's bad, and
Yeah.
you can look this up on Ticketmaster right now. I was like, you know what? One of the reasons why I hate going to the Xfinity Center is that it's a nightmare to get out of there. The traffic is horrendous.
I remember that. I do remember
So I was
that.
like,
I've
you know
been
what?
there.
Maybe we'll pay for the premier parking, right? You know, I'll pay the $50 or $60 or
Here we
whatever
go.
it is.
Here we go.
So here is your choices in terms of special parking at the Xfinity Center. And I'm not kidding. You can look this up. So you can park in one of the more VIP-ish lots. It's $99 to park. It's $100 to park. But that's not it. Then there's another level where it's $250
Oh,
to park. $250
fucking
to park your car.
outrageous.
But that's not even the end.
But
of it.
wait, there's more.
Wait, there's more. They actually have what they call the Rockstar parking lot.
Oh,
It is $1,000.
oh my God.
It is $1,000 to park your car.
What?
You know, after spending, $400 just
On
for the
2
tickets.
Yeah.
It's just out of control.
like
But
that,
you know,
that. How do people not file a fucking complaint about that? That's price gouging.
you know what?
right?
Here I thought about it. Like Deb and I were talking about it, and she was like, "Who's going to pay $1,000 to park?" I was like, "Nobody." But here's the psychology behind it. When you look at that $1,000, now
You
all
wanna
of a
pay
sudden
that.
99 doesn't seem so bad.
Exactly. You're right.
Just
right.
just like me with $185 for a ticket. Wow, what a bargain!
Yeah.
It's insane.
I go to the amphitheater up in West Palm Beach. I don't know what they change names like that, like Tanglewood or whatever it is changes names. By the way, it'll always be the Wang Center. It'll always be Tanglewood to me. All those, and they've gone through 7 or 17 different name changes over the last.
I can
30
go
years.
further than that. So, by the way, the Wang Center is not the Wang Center; it's the
I know.
Bach Center.
Yeah, that's what I mean. But it's always
the
going to be
Bosch
the
Center or
Wang
whatever.
Center to me.
But even for me, it's not even the Wang Center; it was the Music Hall.
The music hall. That's right. That's right. Yeah. The music hall. You're right. Yep.
Strangely enough, the Music Hall. My mother and father saw the Who at the Music Hall.
Ah, look at that. Right. And we saw them.
They-
At the
and
Garden.
my dad used to tell me they literally. So you talk about the group dynamics. That literally Roger Daltrey and I think Pete Townsend got in a fist fight on stage.
Probably, yeah. And back then, concert goers were mellow.
Yeah,
They'd go to literally just watch the show. It wasn't this rowdy. I think our generation were the ones that turned concerts into like indoor festivals. I remember going to the Garden, right? And So say Quarter Flash opens for Bob Seger, right? Okay, Quarter Flash is done. Lights come up, right? Bull Crew comes out. Stagehands and start taking down and putting up. And in that time, it was a fucking frisbee festival. There was beach balls going everywhere. There was fucking pot smoke everywhere.
There was always a big cloud hanging in the middle of the arena.
There was always that one dude. And I know this happened. If we went to, I'll just roughly say, I don't know, 30 concerts at the Garden, right? In our prime, say that, right? Out of those 30, 25 of those times, there was that one motherfucker that had the M80 that would fucking on the floor and light it off. And the whole play, this giant explosion, the puff of smoke, and nobody flinched.
Yeah.
Like, nobody fucking flinched. People applauded, right? Now, fast forward. Imagine if that happened in a show today. That's a terrorist act. It's literally a fucking domestic terrorist act. If you light off an M80 inside a concert, it's
I would imagine
it's gonna set off a mass panic, right?
Well, that's exactly right.
Because this generation is a bunch of pussies, right? So they're all going to run and scream, and they're going to have mass hysteria. And it's going to be a stampede, and it's not going to be good, right? Because everyone's afraid. Back then, we didn't give a fuck. It was like, okay, M80 dude is here.
Did you see Bad Company at the Garden?
I did. That was actually Bad Company Rock and Roll Fantasy tour I believe that was my very first concert. Yeah, I don't know. It was like 14, 15. Were we about 15?
Well, do you remember all of the fireworks at that show?
Oh, I do. It was
constant.
It was crazy. Yeah.
It was absolutely constant.
That's right. Now that you mentioned it, I do remember that. So what we did is we went up to the press box, the one that the old Garden we used to hang, the overhang, where all the reporters would be.
Yeah.
My brother Colin fucking led this charge. We went down into those and we literally kicked like 15 people out of their seats. And we took it. We took it. And got away with it. And got away with it. Like, no ushers. Ushers didn't want anything to do with that back then. Like, they're like, nah, you don't pay me enough. No, there's 15 of them. You know what I mean? So, yeah, that was those were the days, man. Those were the days.
By the way, just because you said it, I don't know if Quarter Flash opened for Bob Seger or not.
I think
I'm wondering. I'm wondering if you got your shows mixed up because Quarter Flash opened for Elton John when you and I saw Elton John.
Then that's what it was. Then okay, all right. Well, you're right. I for some reason I thought it was Bob Seger, but
I don't even remember who I went with, but it was me and whoever I was with. And you and Gene Catazone four of us balancing on two seats in the 10th row.
Yeah.
I didn't even like you back then. I was like, Jesus freaking Christ.
I was an acquired taste. I
gotta balance this asshole. I gotta hold on to his shoulders while Elton John is belting out your song.
I was an acquired taste back in those days. That's for damn
Wait, what do you mean back in those days?
I'm a better person when I'm 61, Jack, than when I was 16. Okay.
I remember you and him, you and Gene Catazone walking up like I was like, oh fuck.
I was his bodyguard.
Yeah, I was like, oh,
there it is. Perry Dedovich, the AI. Welcome to the show.
Oh,
Commented, and I saw Bad Company in '79. Yep, was Mick Ralph's 35th birthday at the Garden, Madison Square Garden. Nice, good show. That was a great tour, man.
They were a good band.
I think that was the Rock and Roll Fantasy Tour.
They were a good band.
I saw Bad Company. I saw Kiss. I believe I saw the Eagles later on, like that fall that year at the Garden. That was like those fucking concerts were nonstop, dude.
Oh, yeah.
Like we just saw the best of the best.
Yeah.
81, we saw The Who, right? We saw The Who. Elton John. We saw What year was that? 82, 83?
That was 82.
82, right?
That was 82.
It was just, we just never saw the Stones or Led Zeppelin.
Stones weren't around.
No, they had done
Zeppelin obviously wasn't around. Floyd wasn't around.
Right. We just got the fucking best concerts back then, man.
Yeah, they. So look, we've talked about this before, but I don't even know if Queen was sold out when they played the last time that they played the Garden. It was in 82. I don't even know if it was sold out.
I don't know.
What are you doing? Are you making phone calls?
Wait a minute.
You got a part-time job? Telemarketer?
Yeah, I get it. I'm a telemarketer. Yeah. I don't know why this isn't working. It's supposed to work. Let me check something. Hold on. I know, right? I know. Let's see. I'll just disconnect it. Well, all right. So I'm just going to tell you. I'm telling you right now. I'm going to tell you right now. This person really wanted to talk to you, Jack. Yeah, they wanted to talk to you, and well, I'm trying to make it happen. Now they don't want to talk to you. All right. So much for that. Get off. So, yeah, the back then it was just like we got to see everything. We get to see everything, and this like
now you have some of these bands that are touring with no original members. By the way, just for shits and giggles, here's a trivia question for you. Members that have been part of these bands, either past or present, who's had more members in their band? The band Yes or the band Chicago?
I'd have to say Chicago.
You're right.
Yeah.
So get this. There have been more than 20 members of the band Yes since they started. There have been more than 47 members of Chicago.
Jesus Christ.
And I would venture to guess that Chicago will still be touring long after you and I are gone.
If Terry Kath lived, where would he have ranked as far as lead singers?
He was a great singer, but he was a fantastic guitar player.
Yeah. As the story goes, Jimi Hendrix told one of the horn players, "Your guitar player is better than me."
Oh, he was amazing. He was amazing.
But his voice was insane. It was insanely good. It was strong, clear.
Yeah.
Like it was a rock and roll voice. So it's funny we're talking about Chicago because today I saw a video for the Ides of March, right? I'm a sexy stranger in a black sedan, and won't you jump inside my car, right? If that, like in the horn section, and so that's like a big like Chicago kind of ripoff. And then you have Blood, Sweat, and Tears, right? Who had their own thing, but like that horn section, that voice.
Yeah.
It was almost like they were like, the record companies were like, we want another Chicago.
Of course.
Of
course.
And they all did a great job. Ides of March, of course, didn't really have more than that hit. But Blood, Sweat, and Tears, I don't know if you've ever listened to their wait a minute, somebody's hello?
Scott McLean and that guy named Jack.
Yeah, what do you have to say to Jack?
So, if you can hear me, and I don't know if you can or not.
I can hear you.
Tell you, dude, we miss you. Number one.
Jesus.
We being me and the other listeners of the show,
the other 3 listeners of the show.
And so we collectively came together and decided that we miss you. The witty banter that takes place between you and a lifelong friendship, and so you need to make it a special point to get on the show more often because you are disappointing all 3 of your fans.
Oh, he's a disappointment. Okay, you said it right there. He's a fucking disappointment. That's for damn sure.
I would love to be on the show.
Here's the other thing, Jack.
He can hear you, Todd, by the way. So
I can hear you.
Here's the other thing, Jack. Well, the problem is that in Northern California, we have like 60-mile-an-hour winds and heavy downpour. And so I don't even know if I can hear myself right now driving in my car. So, and I love it, by the way. I love this weather. It's great. So, but Jack, here's the deal, Jack. If you don't show up, this guy calls me and asks me to fill in for you. And here's the deal. I can't fit in your shoes. I don't have
This
the knowledge.
motherfucker.
You are so knowledgeable about music, and I just go, but that's all I get, you know. And the bad part is that Scott takes none of my recommendations about what good music is.
No.
So, you know, please.
Hey, this is
as much as you can, Jack.
This is well. First off, I appreciate the kind words. I don't know if you can hear me or not, but I do appreciate the kind words. I you know what? As far as me being on the show more often, I'll say it right to Scott. In the words of my rock and roll hero, Chuck Berry, pay me my money.
Oh, Jesus.
He paid me, Jack. I don't know what's going on with you. I got paid, checks in the mail, you know.
He's been screwing me for years. The early days of this podcast, I don't know what he did with it. All that hot sauce money that, you know, instead of paying me, he was buying life-size Spider-Man and Iron Man statues. You know, he was just taking the money and blowing it.
YouTube.
Well, I was on 2 weeks in a row, and with the combined total of all the money I got paid, I have enough to almost buy a pack of Hubba Bubba bubble gum. So,
oh my God, I miss Hubba Bubba.
This
love Hubba
motherfucker.
Bubba.
Jack, this guy pays me. He pays me to put him on the show, and then he flips it on me. He sponsors the show like silently. He's like, "You got to put me on the show, though." And so I do, and he's like, "Oh, look, Scott calls me." And then he wants me on the show now. No, it's.
Hey, I got one thing though, Jack. I think I lasted longer than any episode you've ever been on. I was on for an hour and 1 minute. So
why anybody want to listen to this shit for more than 30 minutes?
Jack.
Why would anybody want to listen to this shit more than a half hour?
Because it's quality shit right here.
Emphasis on the shit part. No, this is great. I love it. I wish I were on. You know, hopefully I get to the point like where Scott is, and I get to retire and, you know, put on my black socks and my flip flops and
there you go.
Wait for Thursday evening to come around.
That's right.
Unfortunately, I'm still a working slob.
Hey, Jack, how's your painting?
My painting's going well. Why?
Yeah. Nah, just asking. Just asking.
There's one behind me. I don't know if you can see it or not.
Oh, that's a painting?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I thought it was a hole in the wall.
You're so fucking funny.
Hey, Jack, I tried to educate Scott a little bit on country music, and he blew me off.
Well, don't talk to Jack about country music.
Well, wait a minute. That depends.
Some great country music out there.
Hey, all right, I'm going to say this. I'm sorry, Jack. Let me interrupt you. I did watch yesterday the Shania Twain documentary on Netflix. It's really fucking good.
But she's got a compelling story.
No, it really was. God bless her, man.
Big step for you, Scott. Nice job. Big step for you, Scott.
She, like, this shit. Did you know she's the only artist to ever have 3 diamond albums in a row? 3.
Almost like Carly Simon.
So Carly Simon's in the Rock Hall of Fame, but Shania Twain isn't. I don't know.
I saw her live in Colorado in 1994. She opened up for George Strait, and she was phenomenal.
All right, so
George Strait was amazing.
So go ahead, Jack.
I'm sure. Look, trying to educate Scott on country music is all fine and well, and you know, it's just one of those things where music is personal. It either touches your heart and soul or it doesn't. I really have an affection for old, like people like. I don't like that old twangy country. To me, that's country. Like I like that.
Yeah.
You know, this overproduced lip
Pop music.
syncy, auto-tune bullshit that they call country music right now. Not my thing.
All the glitter and the big stage shows and the whole thing. Nah.
And I get it. George Strait is an incredibly talented artist. Shania Twain is an incredibly talented artist. But I think a lot, especially, and it's not even just country, but even pop music today is such overproduced, commercialized, computerized horseshit.
Yeah. Rock and roll, like all my favorite types of music, disco, EDM, rap, that touches my heart. Country music is like toilet paper. It can touch my ass.
Hey, Scott,
That's a good one.
If they were singing country music in French, Scott, would you listen to it?
No.
Like that
No.
that weird thing that you played.
Now,
for the last 2 weeks in a row?
Bossa Nova is not French. It's Portuguese. Thank you. Okay.
No, it was something. You were talking over the whole thing. So
the EDM music. Yeah. No, hey, listen, that's better than fucking country music. I'll tell you that.
I would gladly listen to. But by the way, quick, cute kind of story. Like I was just saying that we're going to this EDM show, like our first like real EDM show, and I was like, "Hey, Deb, we'll get some ecstasy." And I was totally kidding, right? But she was looking at me, and I was like, "I can see what you're thinking. I can see what you're thinking." She was like, "What? What am I thinking?" I was like, "You would say." I'll take half.
I'll split
and she
one
said,
with
you know what? You're right.
Yeah, not a good move when you're almost 60. You going to be 60?
No.
58?
60. Who?
You. When's your birthday's coming up?
My birthday is in
Jack History Month.
23 days. I'll be 60.
Wow. What are you doing for that?
Deb and I are going to Costa Rica.
Nice. Listen to some Bossa Nova in Costa Rica.
We're going to listen to some Bossa Nova. And Todd,
how old are you?
57.
57.
You're a kid. No wonder you listen to country music. You're just a kid. You're a kid. You don't know any better.
All right, big head Todd.
It's part of my generation.
Oh, here we go. He's still, he complains, but he wants to stay on. All right, big head Todd the Wet Sprocket. Thanks for coming on. I'm cutting this short. I'm going to send Jack home. He's got to get up early. It's been over an hour. I already know he's in overtime with me right now.
We haven't even gotten to any of our topics.
I know. We'll get to it next week. Patty's been waiting for the most underrated singers for 3 weeks now. Patty says she loves the show. Of course.
I can hang a little bit. We can talk a little bit about underrated singers if you want.
All right, we can start. In the meantime, Todd wouldn't know anything about that, so we're gonna let you go, buddy.
Hey, do you want another?
Hey, make sure you tell Jack. Make sure you tell Jack about that underrated singer for "I Stepped on My Cat's Tail."
Oh Jesus! Goodbye.
That's Scott.
Goodbye.
Was that the comedy stylings of Todd? That was the best he came up with.
Todd the Wet Sprocket. Yeah, exactly. That's the best you're gonna get from him. He's as funny as a doorknob.
It's all about the love and making the effort, brother.
Right. So, underrated singers, right? Let me move this over here. Let me get this going. I know it's over here somewhere. There we go. So I have that list, right? Did I get rid of that? No, it's over here. I think I mentioned him earlier. I think I mentioned one earlier. Terry Kath.
Yeah.
Terry, maybe he just didn't live long enough. Peter Cetera gets all the credit for being the singer, right? Of Chicago. He gets all that because he had longevity. But in the end, if he didn't die, that band would never have really gone in that direction.
No.
No.
Although
it was their moneymaker, though. It was probably financially the best thing they ever did.
That whole Terry Kath story is just,
it's crazy.
Heartbreaking and stupid.
Yeah. Yeah. It's stupid.
I remember. Do you remember when it happened? I remember when it happened.
I do remember when it happened. I don't remember much about it, but I do remember when they announced it on the radio that he was dead.
Yeah. I remember seeing it in the Boston Globe.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Interesting. Yeah.
Yep. Yep.
All right, give me an underrated singer.
So I'll tell you where I would start, and he's a hero of mine, and we've talked about it a lot. But I think he does not get the credit that he deserves as a singer. Is Pete Townsend? Not
Okay.
not the lead,
Yeah,
singer of the band,
Yeah.
but the stuff that he sings on.
Solo.
I love his voice. There's a sincerity in his voice. He doesn't have the vocal range that Roger Daltrey does, but I love Pete Townsend.
It's
not
a
only
good
as a guitar player.
a good example of his singing. Which song is a good example of his singing? Slit Skirts.
Yeah,
That's a perfect example of the range that he goes from I was just 34 years old and I was still wandering in a haze, right? To slit skirt, Jenny. And he goes real big. Like he goes real. So he shows all his range in that song. And
Yeah.
which is part of the appeal of that song, right?
Technically, he's not a great singer, but there's something unique about his voice that I really like. Even in some of the Who songs, Eminence Front.
Yeah. Absolutely.
There's just something about Pete Townsend. Not the greatest guitar player in the world, but there's something unique about the way that he plays guitar, and something about the way that he sings just touches my soul. So that's my first choice is Pete Townsend.
All right. I'm going
Top that motherfucker.
Oh, I will, and I'm going to, and you'll agree with me. This band is more known to be a big guitar band, a big sound band, and the lead singer never ever got any credit for the great fucking voice that he has, and his name is Klaus Meine
from the Scorpions.
Scorpions, yeah.
Very unique voice.
That fucking big voice.
Not only big voice,
but the song "Nobody," there's nobody like you. Again, shows his range. He goes from being a real singer to the big screamer and the big heavy voice, but never gets any credit. It's because the band is so big and the songs are so powerful and they're like almost anthems,
So,
but his voice is pure.
What did you say his name was?
Klaus Meine.
Klaus Meine.
Yeah.
You know it's fun.
MEINE.
It's funny. I mean, he has like a big, powerful voice. Do you know how tall he is?
Oh, according to the videos, he's like 5'6".
He's not 5'6". He is
Shorter?
5 foot. He's 5'4".
Wow. That's 3 inches bigger than I'm only 5'1". I got a pain in my neck. Is Iggy Pop a good singer?
He's not technically a good singer, but
it's good for what he does.
He's good for what he does. By the way, talk about another, and this isn't one of my choices, but Ronnie James Dio.
Good
big,
voice. Very
powerful
good.
voice.
Yeah.
Again,
little dude.
5'4".
Yeah. Dave Phillips, King of the 45s. I mentioned Terry Kath earlier. Yeah, for a big voice. Yeah, another little guy with the big voice. All right, another little guy with the big voice. Eric Burden.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Little dude, big voice. Little man, big man, little coat. Little man, big voice. Give me another voice. Underrated.
So this is a controversial one, and we talk about them more than we should talk about them. But I have to say, the first person that I thought about when you kind of threw this out was David Lee Roth. Big, hugely successful, but he's always been criticized for his vocal limitations.
By
so
Sammy
much
Hagar.
so much so that they almost fired him in the early days of Van Halen.
Yeah.
But that band never would have been what they were without his vocals.
So I wouldn't rate him as underrated then. I think he made his
vocal abilities. I think he is underrated for what he brings to that band.
And I think
Van
Halen, go ahead.
I told you it would be a little bit controversial.
Dave Phillips, King of the 45, says Paul Rogers. Paul Rogers isn't underrated.
He is
I don't think
not an
anyone has
underrated
ever
singer.
We're talking about
No.
underrated lead singers, and nobody has ever.
I bet Paul Rogers, hey, right? Why don't we say Frank Sinatra was an underrated singer?
Yeah. What was I just saying? I lost my train of thought. What were you just talking about? What did you say?
Well, I was talking about David Lee Roth.
Oh, so a great example of his style changing is between Van Halen 1 and Van Halen 2. I think his voice got better on Van Halen 2.
They made him take vocal lessons.
Yeah, absolutely.
They made him take vocal lessons.
Beautiful Girls, right? I think that's a good example of his range, right? How about, is Brad Delp underrated lead singer from Boston? No. Okay, I'm just throwing it out there.
I mean, he is as much of like Tom Schultz's guitar sound and the clean sound, and God, remember they got lambasted because they used computers for their first album. So much so that on their second album, it said on the back of the album, no computers were used to. But Brad Delp was such a strong singer and such a unique singer.
But did he get credit? Like, did he get the recognition, or did Boston as a band get the recognition? Like, no one ever said, "Oh, Brad Delp is a standout singer."
No, they fell into that latter 70s corporate arena rock genre, right? So, Boston, Foreigner, Styx, REO Speedwagon, all of those bands, even Journey back in the day, those bands were technically really proficient. They knew what they were doing. But, if you went up to the average person today and said, "Hey, are you familiar with the band Boston?" You may get some people that say, "Yeah, I remember them." If you could actually have them name anybody in the band,
exactly,
it would be a surprise to me.
Exactly. So that's what I mean is Brad Delp and we know he's great, so we can't look at it from our perspective of what we know, right? But on average, is Brad Delp an underrated singer? Like, he's never mentioned, like, is he mentioned in any conversations? I think it would be safe to say he was a better lead singer than a lot of fucking bands in that time. And was it the longevity thing? Was it because Boston did one album, then two albums, then took fucking X amount of years to do the third album, and he just never really caught that fire of, wow, that's a great lead singer?
Well, therein lies like the separation of, you had the Beatles and the Stones and the Who and Led Zeppelin and Queen, where everybody knew the members of the band. They had a persona about them. They had a history about them. They were compelling. They were personalities. They got arrested. There was Altamont. There was Woodstock. There was all that stuff. But then when you get into like Foreigner and Styx and Boston, like there's no story behind those bands. It was more corporate rock. And I think one of the things that adversely affects a guy like Brad Delp is that he's kind of in that category where people they don't know the personalities behind the band. Look, that's why people today are happy to go to Vegas and see Foreigner. They don't give a shit who's in the band. They just want to hear the songs.
Yeah. Good point.
Of course, it's a good point.
Who do you got? Give me a name. Jesus Christ.
How about
Todd calls back?
How about Jim Kerr?
Jim Kerr?
Jim Kerr.
From Simple Minds.
Simple Minds.
I don't know if he's underrated. And I'm not gonna, like, this is your, but I don't think Jim Kerr is an underrated. I think people know that he's a really good singer. Again, he was the thing of Simple Minds, still is, right? I think videos help that, whereas Boston didn't have any videos. But I think if anybody was talking about 80s singers, Simple Minds is going to come up. Right?
I think he's a better singer than people give him credit for.
So I think that's what we're kind of talking about here. You know what I mean? I think that's kind of in the category of where we are. Let me see. Paul DeCiano, that's my buddy right there. Pablo, what's up, buddy, from Vegas? Speaking of dirty Vegas, he is fucking dirty Vegas. Or he's dirty in Vegas. I'll just tell you that. He says, still sings well to this day, unlike many artists. Yeah, Jim Kerr, yeah.
They're going on tour
this. Dave Phillips, King of the 45s, could not fucking help himself and give a fucking Rob Thomas fucking shout out. No, Dave Phillips, King of the 45s. No. Rob Thomas is not an underrated great singer because he's not even in the category of great lead singers. So that's all there is to that. Don't argue with me. It's my show. I wish I could block some of these people sometimes.
So come on, give me another one, brother.
Oh, I got a good one. What do you think of? Let's talk about this one. Let's stay in our city. Ben Orr. Never really got credit for being like Christine McVie, always overshadowed by Stevie Nicks, but had some of the best Fleetwood Mac songs in their whole catalog. Benjamin Orr had some of the best Cars songs in their entire catalog.
He did. You know the
never got that, like, because his voice is strong.
But that's right? You know what, the Cars actually kind of fall into that Boston foreigner category, right? They're regarded as kind of. I think
Rick
so.
Ocasek they had like a personality. They were boring.
You're saying that because we were from Boston and we knew that band. But if you went to Wichita, Kansas, and you asked anybody, name 2 people in the band The Cars, you're not getting any answers. No way.
So does that make them
by the way, the other thing is that there was a if you weren't an avid fan of The Cars like we were, there are people out there that think that The Cars only had one singer.
Oh, that goes for more than a couple of bands. Yeah, I think a lot of people think Depeche Mode only had one singer.
Yeah, but whether you put on Bye Bye Love or Drive or Magic,
yeah,
I guarantee you that there are people out there that think, oh yeah, it's the same singer.
That's a very good point. That's a very good point, and I think that's probably one of the. Not this one. So let me see. This song right here is one of my favorite Cars songs ever, and it's an underrated song, right?
It is an underrated song.
It's the last song on the first album of a fucking great, epic album, and it's the least played. It's the least played song in this, I think, in this whole album.
Is the Cars' first album a flawless album?
Yes. Yes, it is. It's absolutely a perfect album. Would you agree?
So I would agree. But I will tell you, for years, I actually thought that it was 99.9% a great album. And you have Good Times Roll, My Best Friend's Girl, Just What I Needed, I'm in Touch with Your World, Don't You Stop, You're All I've Got Tonight, Bye Bye Love, Moving in Stereo, and All Mixed Up. There was one song for years that irritated the shit out of me, and it was Don't You Stop. Hated that song.
So every perfect album has to have a best and a worst song. But in the big picture of the album, it's listenable.
It's listenable, and I've grown to like it a lot because Deb loves that song.
It's so the way this album and each track was put together, like how they lined them up, it's a roller coaster ride. Right?
Yeah.
I'm in Touch with Your World is in front of this. And You're All I've Got Tonight is on the other side of it. This is an absolutely listenable song.
It's more than a listenable
Yeah.
song. I trust me when I tell you. For years and years, it was me, and it's in the.
It's still you, Jack.
It's the verses. The verses are fine. I never liked the chorus. I thought they copped out.
So yeah, it is.
Don't
It
you
is kind of a
stop, don't
cheap.
you stop,
You're
don't
right.
you
It
stop,
is
don't
kind
you
of a
stop.
cheap chorus. Yeah. But again, in the big picture, it's that would be the second or third best song on any of their other albums.
I agree.
Other than Candy-O. Because Candy-O is, to me, a perfect album also.
Candy-O's a great album.
And you know that's my
Actually,
favorite. I always
even-
like the second album. You know that. I'm always a fan of the second album.
Even Panorama was a really strong record.
Yes, but Don't You Stop would be the third best song on Panorama.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's just that, you know what? It's all relative, right?
Yeah.
Like Don't You Stop is fine, but when you put it next to Bye Bye Love, it's
Right.
just
Or You're All I've Got Tonight follows it. So you don't really pay much attention once it's over. There's no lingering effect of it because it goes right into You're All I've Got Tonight.
even when I had the Cars' first album on CD, I would always blow by that fucking song. Like, can't do it.
So I
Don't you stop. Don't you stop. I'm stopping right now.
No, I won't stop. I'm going right by you. I'm not fucking. I'm going right to. You're going right to jail. Don't pass go. That's
Yep,
right,
no,
motherfucker.
no,
That's
no.
fun. But I knew when you were saying that, I was like, oh, it's gonna be "Don't You Stop" because it is not. It is the worst song on the album, but again, in the big picture, it's the third best song on everything after Candy-O.
And you know what? It was always great when they did it live.
Well, yeah, considering they were fucking as boring as a fucking, I don't know, a plain slice of pizza, you know?
They played well, but and this goes back to, Stones, Roger Daltrey, like they were a huge presence. And when the Cars got up there, I mean, you could have put cardboard cutouts up there.
Yep.
And it wouldn't have been much different.
Nope, they just kind of stood there.
Kind of just played their instruments.
Yeah, played their instruments, sang the songs. Not a lot from what I remember. I saw them. They played 2 nights in Boston. I forget what year that was. 81, maybe 81. They played 2 nights in a row in Boston. The second night was when I saw them, and they didn't play "Let the Good Times Roll," but they played other, all their other songs, and I think the sets were kind of mixed up a little. Like they kind of peppered 2 nights in a row. They didn't play the exact same set 2 nights in a row for the people that would go both nights, right? That's kind of how they do it, right? Yeah. But definitely not the most exciting band to see live. There's no standout moment that I can have from that show, other than just enjoying the show.
Yeah, they were great. They were
M80
fine.
guy didn't show up that night. M80 guy just didn't. He wasn't.
They were
exciting
great.
enough.
I mean, like especially us from Boston, we would go see the Cars, and not only
literally
would you know
15
every song,
minutes away, right? 15 minutes
you
away.
not only know every song they played, but almost every word. But
Yeah.
there was never a time where I was like, oh my god, they just blew my mind.
Right. Hey, let me ask you a question.
They didn't jam. They didn't deviate from the way the song sounded on the record.
No. Let me ask you a question. Better lead singer for Starship, Marty Balin or Mickey Thomas?
Mickey Thomas.
Think so?
For me.
Oh,
Mickey Thomas had a better voice.
I gotta say, Marty Balin had the best fucking voice. No,
He had a great voice.
If Only You Believe, and I mean that dude. And I'm not knocking Mickey Thomas. Trust me, I like Mickey Thomas. He big voice, Jane, and he was the '80s guy, right? But
he was the 80s guy. But even Mickey Thomas, his best song was not with Jefferson Starship. It was with Elvin Bishop.
Fooled Around and Fell in Love.
Fooled Around and Fell in Love.
Yeah.
One of the classic vocal performances of all time.
Greatest one-hit wonders. And all right, Elvin Bishop wasn't a one-hit wonder, but it's the hit that
what is
knows.
this? What is this guy Dave Phillips saying? Cars had multiple lead singers. Isn't that what we just fucking talked about?
I think he's on a 3-minute delay.
Dave, call your internet service. You're behind, brother.
I'm gonna go watch Milk Crates and Turntables. Hold on a minute. Hey, did you guys
by the way,
know? Did you guys know that Cars had multiple singers?
No, Scott. They had more than one.
Jesus Christ.
So he says one of the cars got knocked out by.
No, I think he's talking about Marty Ballin.
They did. They clocked him.
Oh, he fucking ran his mouth to the wrong people.
Remember Paul Kantner, got on the microphone. He was like, "Hey, everybody, just want to thank the Hells Angels. They just knocked out our lead singer." And the other Hells Angel gets on the other mic and he goes, "Hey, man, let me tell you where it's at. Like,
if there was ever a concert, if there was ever a concert, you could go back in time and just be in the right spot, just close enough, but just enough out of distance of the fucking mayhem and chaos. That would be the show to go to just go, this is fucking insanity.
Oh my God.
I just think there were some people that were right around that circle, right? That watched the dude get murdered, right? Watched the lead singer get punched the fuck out. Watch the Hells Angels sit up. There's some people alive right now that were right in that fucking that sweet spot to see it all fucking happen. Think of that.
Dude, give me Shelter. That documentary, it is kind of scary when you think about what happened and how bad things went. But there's such a funny moment that just demonstrates the utter chaos of that show. The Stones are up there playing, and just out of nowhere, a fucking German Shepherd walks across the stage.
I forgot about that.
He just
as random as random can be.
What
dog walks across the stage. Dog's like, yo, what's up?
All right.
What's up, dude? Just fucking passing by. Just gonna imagine if he stopped and sniffed the speaker and pissed on it, and just kept walking.
So the other thing that is hilarious, right? And it's a tragic story, right? So, but the Hells Angels, they knocked Marty Ballin out. I don't know if they punched him or they hit him with a pool cue or whatever it was. But then they actually cut to a backstage area, and the Grateful Dead are getting off their helicopters, and there's somebody that's talking to Jerry Garcia and Phil Lesh, and they say, I think it was Phil Lesh, and they were like, yeah, they knocked Marty Ballin out, and Phil Lesh is just like, what? They're beating up the band members, and Jerry Garcia goes, oh man, that's a bummer. Oh man, oh bummer. And then Phil Lesh is just like, oh man, that just doesn't seem right. They don't say hey, we're getting the fuck out of here.
What? They're like,
right?
What?
Or hey, we're not going on until they fucking fix this. They're like, oh man, that's a bummer.
Yeah. They almost go about their business.
They almost killed the guy from Jefferson Airship. Yeah, that's too bad. Well, fuck those guys.
Yeah. What time are we going on?
Yeah.
Do we gotta do a rehearsal? What? Give me a name. Give me a.
All right. So this is one of my favorite singers, underrated band, underrated lead singer, Pat Denizio from Smithereens.
Smithereens, yeah.
Great singer, very unique voice, very, very underrated band in my opinion.
I don't think they had that, that stardom. I think they were big.
No, Perry's wrong. The Dead didn't go because they're in the documentary.
Ah, okay. I wouldn't fuck with the AI though. He'll get you.
He can get me all he wants.
He'll get you. I'm telling you. I don't fuck with him.
So what are you gonna
Why do you think I don't criticize him?
I don't know him. I don't know him like you know him, so I can do it.
He's an AI, dude.
Is he gonna throw a bottle at me?
Do you ever really know an AI? That's the question, right? Leo said hello. Leo Haskell, hottest working man in show business.
Leo Haskell. Yeah. Love Leo Haskell.
Yeah. We all love Leo. I don't think that they had the Smithereens had the level of fame to really determine if the lead singer is if he's underrated. You know what I mean? Like I don't think
Yeah.
they had that mass appeal. I'm talking like bands that we all heard. Like you could be in that Dirtwater town in Oklahoma and you're listening
Todd,
to Cars.
Todd, our friend Todd that was on the call.
Big Head Todd.
He's saying 11. 11 was a big record for them.
Yeah, but that was it. I mean, I'm not dogging the guy. I love him. I love the Smithereens, but I just don't. I wouldn't put him in underrated because there's a lot of bands out there that have good lead singers, but I'm talking in that category of everybody knows who they are, but the lead singer just doesn't get that credit. And a good example, and I'll say, is Roger Hodgson.
Oh, from Supertramp.
Supertramp.
Yeah. By the way, Perry is the Grateful Dead are in the documentary. I actually think that he's right. I don't think they played. I think they split, but they were there.
Okay. Yeah. They probably were like, oh, okay, dude. Then it was like, that's that. Well, they were just going to hang out. They were just going to hang out. Who knows, right?
Yeah.
But,
so you were saying Roger Hodgson. There's another band that most people don't know that there was more than one lead singer for Supertramp.
I think,
but there was Roger Hodgson and that other guy.
And the other guy, yeah. Yeah. And we've had this discussion in the past, and I think Roger Hodgson did go out on tour a couple times as
he had a couple,
it says Roger Hodgson from Supertramp.
He had a couple of solo albums. I can't remember the name of the song, but he actually had in the early days of MTV, he had a minor hit. I'm going to look it up real quick just because I'm curious.
I want to see something here. Supertramp, right? So
The Eye of the Storm.
So I'm looking this up. As far as Supertramp goes, right? Let's see.
Stupid fucking band. Stupid. Do you know why they're stupid?
Why are they stupid?
Because they let their egos and their personalities get in the way. How much money do you think that they've given up by not like sticking together and touring? Like, look, you don't have to love each other, but this is your livelihood.
Right. You know what? I'm looking at their greatest hits, and these are the ones that are hyperlinked. But I'll just read them off: School, Goodbye Stranger, The Logical Song, Bloody Well Right, Breakfast in America, Take the Long Way Home, Dreamer, Crime of the Century, Rudy, Ain't Nobody But Me, From Now On, Give a Little Bit, It's Raining Again, Cannonball. Most of those songs came off of one album.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, Crime they had so they
a good album. Yeah.
So we talk about like a band or a performer's creative arc. Their arc was Crime of the Century.
Yeah.
And Breakfast
in America.
And that was it.
That was it. So like that's why I was curious. Like, you know what? Let me look at the greatest hits. And then you see it and it's like, oh, okay. And if I'm not mistaken, Give a Little Bit, or Bloody Well Right. Bloody Well Right came out in wasn't that like the late 70s? Is that one of the earlier hits?
Yeah, I would think so. Yeah. 78,
it was one of the,
79, something like that.
One of the early hits. And Give a Little Bit. Wasn't Give a Little Bit also an earlier song?
It is, yeah.
Yeah. So I remember they were playing the Boston Garden, and it was advertised on the radio by one of the radio stations. I don't know if it was WBCN or if it was one of the older radio stations back in the earlier 70s when they first broke. It was probably maybe WRKO or WVBF, whatever it was. I don't know. But they were advertising, if you come dressed, there was a competition to come dressed as the best Supertramp. You'd win a prize. So I always imagined that. I always thought, what the hell did that crowd look like? Like, because,
Yeah.
that's all we got our information off back in the day with these radio stations. WRKO or WVBF, whatever it was, right? WBCN. That's where we got our information. And if they were announcing come as the best dressed super tramp, then everybody would be fucking doing it, right? There'd be a huge influx of that. WCOZ, right? Tim Griffin piles in, yeah.
Tim
That
Griffin.
was the 80s. That came around. This was in the 70s. This was the later 70s. I think before these other radio stations like took off, like WAAF and all of those are the 80s. But
So we
always thought of that.
We relied upon the radio for concert information. They would tell you when they were playing and when they were going on sale. I mean, no computers and
nope.
Even in the early days, you couldn't even call to get tickets. You had to go to the box office.
Yeah. And tickets were fucking $12.50 for a floor seat. But even before the 80s and the 70s, it was like $8 for a floor seat.
It was cheap. Dude, the first time I saw Aerosmith, I think the ticket was $7.
Oh my God.
Now we sound like the old guys. I remember when a Clark bar was a nickel.
Clark bar.
Yeah, Clark bar.
Great call. Great call with the Clark bar. Jesus
nickel.
Christ. Oh shit. Is Robin Zander underrated?
Yeah, maybe. I mean, look, Cheap Trick is. Yeah, look, I think that you and I could actually do an episode of these type bands. Like, there are a lot of people out there that look at Cheap Trick as being a really underrated band.
Yeah.
But are they? Cheap Trick has got some great songs. There's no question about that.
Cheap Trick was pretty consistent after Live at Budokan.
They had some good stuff, but if you look at their catalog, there's a lot of shitty Cheap Trick songs out there.
Well, again, I think that goes for a lot of bands. Like, okay, we know the hits, but and so that was the thing when we bought an album. If we had 4 good songs out of 9 or 10, it was a good album, right?
I mean, you got to give Cheap Trick credit. I mean, how long they're still touring, right? They're opening for Rod Stewart here in New Hampshire this summer.
I saw them open I was working at the stage, Concert Security in Albuquerque. They opened for Stone Temple Pilots. And they were great.
So how long has
that
Cheap
was 97.
Trick been around?
That was 97, right? So Live at Budokan came out in 79.
Yeah.
Right? About 79?
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah, 78, 79. I think you're right.
Yeah. And they were around before that. That was the album that launched them into the stratosphere, of course. Story behind it, they had no idea that was being recorded and that it got sent back to the States, and they came back and they were like a whole different on a whole different plane of success when they came back.
Cheap Trick has been around 51 years.
Are they in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame?
I don't know.
Look it up, because if they're not and Sheryl Crow is, I got a fucking problem. I got a big fucking problem.
Yep, they're in.
I was gonna say, yeah, they have
2016.
Yeah, they have to be. I would have had a major fucking problem with that.
2016.
51 years.
50.
Although unfortunately, Bun isn't. It's the drummer. It's Joey
Bunny
Kramer and
Carlos.
Aerosmith, Bun Carlos and Cheap Trick. Give us some other drummers that always seem to get booted out of the band.
Oh, so here's another number quiz for you.
Yeah.
So 2 bands. Who has had more? Has Deep Purple had more or less lead singers than Pearl Jam has had drummers?
I would have to say Pearl Jam's gone through more drummers than Deep Purple with lead singers.
So it's kind of a trick question.
Yeah.
They've both. So Pearl Jam, and most people don't know this, has actually gone through 5 drummers.
5 drummers, yeah.
And
yeah.
Deep Purple has gone through, I think, 5 lead singers.
5 lead singers. Ian Anderson was the best, though. Ian Gillan. Ian Gillan was
Ian Gillan was definitely the best. And Pearl Jam, I mean, in all fairness, Matt Cameron has been with them for 20 years.
Yeah, he's the
or,
one
or whatever.
stayed.
But the early days, they had a real tough time with drummers.
So let me ask you this: if he's their drummer for 20 years, is he part of the corporation? I wonder.
He
or
is.
is he?
He is.
He got bought in.
He's an official
like
member.
What's his name from Metallica? They're like, we're giving you a check for $1 million. The bass
I
player.
love that scene, man.
We're going to give you a check for $1 million. Like that, the look on his face, that was unbelievable that they caught that on film during that documentary. And he was, I mean, that's what a fucking amazing, you just hit a lifelong lottery. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, and the fact that his son got to come out and play with them him on stage a few times and got to play with other bands. Because the kid is he's probably older now, but his son, what's the bass player's name?
Rob Trujillo.
Yeah, Trejo. Yeah.
Trujillo.
Trujillo, yeah. And then his son,
Truijo.
Yeah, and his son played with Foo Fighters.
Yeah.
Came out and played with Foo Fighters. A couple songs.
So here's the bumpy ride of drummers in Pearl Jam. So Pearl Jam formed in 1990. And they went through 4 drummers in like 6 or 7 years. Matt Cameron, I think actually he joined in like 1998 and he's been with them since.
Right. So there you go. Just popped up on the screen. Leo Haskell, hottest working man in show business. As you know, not a concert guy. He never was. Yeah, Leo wasn't really a big concert guy. Yeah.
Leo, who did you go see?
They went to see. He posted it. It was some. I can't remember who they were going to see. It's a retro act. I think it was an older Boyz II Men. I think you saw Boyz II Men.
Boyz II Men.
See if my memory serves me right.
Did he like it?
I think they did. I think he really liked it. Yeah,
they're cool. They're all right.
I mean, I never had a problem with them. I wasn't the biggest fan.
No.
I didn't really listen to them that much. They weren't in my purview at that time. But they can't deny them. They had fucking big hits.
I have a soft spot for bands like that. There's stuff that I just may not be. It may not be the thing that I listen to or follow, but
Don Brewer,
Grand Funk.
Oh, okay.
So Don Brewer was the drummer, I believe. So he was the one that sang Some Kind of Wonderful and We're an American Band. So, there's another band, right, that had more than one lead singer. It was either Mark Farner or Don Brewer.
Yeah. Good call. Ian Astbury from the Cult.
Very unique voice, great singer, underrated band, very, very underrated band.
And singer. Big voice. And singer.
Yeah.
And stage presence.
Yes.
That dude he could control a stage.
Great performer.
Yeah, absolutely.
Great performer.
Pete Steele.
Pete Steele. I think you got me on that one. Who's Pete Steele?
I'm going to play a song by them. Let me give you 1 second. All right, here we go.
I went looking for trouble. And boy,
you know who they are.
I found her. She's in love with herself. She likes the dark. And on her milk white neck,
I love this band, man.
the devil's mark.
I think it starts to pick up.
Now it's All Hallows Eve. The moon is full.
You don't know who it is yet?
No, I know who this is.
Yeah. Good album cover too.
I bet you will.
This is the guy. This is the guy from O Negative, right? Type O Negative.
Big voice.
He died young, didn't he?
Yeah. Heart attack, yeah. Typo negative.
Yeah.
Yeah. Pete Still. Big voice. I think in that genre, he wasn't underrated. They were like the masses of that goth, that dark goth kind of rock sound of the 80s into the 90s. That I remember he was on the Jenny Jones show because he had posed nude for Playgirl magazine. Yeah. He was a fucking high. He had that long black hair, right? All jacked up. But he was from Jersey. Like, it was always weird listening to him talk because he had a real heavy Jersey accent. That never sat right. Like, that never sat right with me, is listening to these big bands, these real good popular bands, but they're from New York. Like Kiss, right? You hear them talk. You hear fucking Ace Frehley talk. You're like, yeah, so I was out there, doing this, right?
He sounds like an idiot.
Yeah, like and Pete Steele, like that New Jersey act. Like, it never fucking sat right with me. These big bands, and they got that stupid fucking, like, it's not stupid. It's the New York accent. It's like, it just never meshed with me.
Yeah.
It was always weird. Now, the Ramones, okay, they were the Ramones. They had the whole New York persona. They owned it. You know what I mean? But
they played that up to the hilt.
They certainly did. They certainly did. All right, Jack, we're coming up on 2 hours, buddy. I want you to go to bed. I have to nurture this. I
I'm
appreciate
exhausted.
you going into overtime. Hey, I'll tell you what. Right before I came on here, I did an hour podcast. I interviewed for my veterans, the Vets Connection podcast. I interviewed a guy in Oklahoma for the last hour.
I worked 9 hours today. I was on the phone all day. I mean, I don't want to hear your sob story, retirement guy.
Hey, you don't be a victim of the job. You do it. You're not a victim of your job, Jack.
I love my job.
That's right.
I love my job.
So don't play a victim. And I'm not playing victim that I just did 3 hours of podcasting because I love this.
Yes, you do.
I love this.
All right, Uncle Scott. By the way,
buddy.
underrated lead singer Scott McLean.
Yeah. And if you're around next week, we'll pick it up. We'll pick it up.
All right, man.
I got more. I have more we can talk about. But
All right.
Jack,
hey, thanks everybody for joining. Nice seeing y'all.
All right, buddy. I love you. Thank you for coming on. This is always good. Great conversation. I think the fans like you better than me, but that won't last. That won't last. No, it won't last. I won't let it. All right, get off. I'm going to kick you off early. Get out of here. Well, there you go. Jack's back. And, well, for this week, I want to thank everyone for listening. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. If you like it, share it. If you didn't like it, thanks for watching and listening for an hour and 53 minutes. This was a great episode. I enjoyed this a lot. This actually, Jack and I had some, Dave Phillips, King of the 45, says, whiners, I'm still working. Hey, don't be a victim of the job, buddy. It's you. Don't play the victim. All right, that's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. But Jack and I had hey, let's talk about this, and we ended up talking about way off of what we were originally going to talk about. I think we picked it up in hour number 2. But anyway, well, I'll be back next week. Hopefully, Jack is back next week. I hope you're back next week. And as I always say, doing this show for you, to quote my favorite artist, Morrissey, well, the pleasure, the privilege is mine. And I will see you guys for episode 173 or 174, whatever it is, next week. And I'm going to go hang out with Dr. Vera. I just did 3 hours of podcasting. This is so exhausting. Oh, my God. Dave Phillips, King of the 45s. I'm still working. Shut the hell up. All right, buddy. Everybody, I will see you, and you will hear me